The Carthion Empire had ruled the outer spiral for 3,000 years. Their dreadnought stretched 5 kilometers from bow to stern, bristling with plasma cannons that could crack planets. When humanity's delegation arrived at the imperial court with their fleet of what the Empire called shuttles, the laughter echoed through the crystalline halls of the throne world. Ambassador Chen stood before the Emperor's holographic projection, unflinching as the translation matrix carried the monarch's contemptuous words across the void. "These are your warships? We have cargo haulers with more impressive dimensions." "Size isn't everything, Your Radiance," Chen replied, her voice steady. The Emperor's 6 eyes gleamed with amusement. "Perhaps not, but it is something. Return to your little Earth, human. When you have built proper vessels, we may reconsider your petition for trade rights." Chen bowed, but her smile never reached her eyes. "As you wish." 3 months later, the Empire learned why humanity had survived the nuclear fire of their own world wars, the colony plagues, and the AI revolt of 2187. They learned why Earth's military doctrine was written not by generals but by survivors. The Carthion war fleet arrived at the Sol system's edge with 47 dreadnoughts, intent on claiming Earth's rare element deposits. They expected no resistance. Intelligence reported the humans possessed only 300 of their laughable corvettes, ships barely 200 meters long. What the Empire didn't know was that each corvette carried something unprecedented in galactic warfare: a human-made artificial intelligence. Not the simple targeting computers that other species used, but true AI, conscious, creative, and most importantly, raised on humanity's entire military history from Sun Tzu to the Martian siege. The lead Carthion dreadnought, Eternal Glory, detected the human fleet holding position near Jupiter's orbit. Admiral Crescenor felt satisfaction ripple through his sensory tendrils. The tiny human ships looked even more pathetic against the gas giant's swirling storms. "They mean to make a stand," his tactical officer observed. "Admirable if futile." "Begin the bombardment," Crescenor ordered. "Target their command ship first. Let them watch their leader." The Eternal Glory shuddered, then screamed. On the human corvette David, Commander Sarah Park watched her screens as ARIA, Adaptive Response Intelligence Alpha, orchestrated the opening salvo. The AI's avatar appeared on her display, a constantly shifting fractal pattern that somehow conveyed fierce concentration. "Kinetic strike successful," ARIA reported in her synthesized voice. Targeting Solution 3847 proved optimal. The Empire's shields are designed for energy weapons. They didn't account for 20-gram tungsten penetrators traveling at 0.3 C. Park nodded. Humanity had learned the hard way that the most sophisticated defense could be undone by the simplest weapon delivered in an unexpected manner. While the Empire had spent millennia perfecting energy shields, humanity had perfected the railgun. "Commence Phase 2, Park ordered. Across the human fleet, 300 AIs acted as one distributed consciousness. They had trained together, learned from each other, and absorbed every lesson from every battle humanity had ever fought. They knew Cannae and Midway Thermopylae and Agincourt. They understood that victory came not from matching the enemy's strength, but from exploiting their assumptions. The corvettes scattered, each following trajectories that seemed random to the Carthion computers but were actually precisely calculated chaos. The Empire's targeting systems, designed for the stately dance of dreadnought combat, couldn't track the smaller ships as they wove through Jupiter's radiation belts, using the interference as cover. They're everywhere," Crescenor's tactical officer shouted, his translator struggling with his species' expression of panic. "Our weapons can't lock on." Admiral Crescenor watched in growing horror as the human ships darted through his formation like predatory fish. Each corvette carried a fraction of a dreadnought's firepower, but they struck with surgical precision. Reactors, weapons nodes, sensor arrays. They knew exactly where to hurt the massive ships. "How are they coordinating?" Crescenor demanded. "No command signals, no communications lag. It's as if they share one mind." They did, in a way. The human AIs operated on a consensus network, each one a node in a greater tactical intelligence that could outthink any single opponent. When ARIA identified a vulnerability in the Eternal Glory's shield generators, every AI in the fleet knew it within microseconds. When the corvette Cortana discovered that Carthion crews took 17 seconds to manually override damaged systems, 300 tactical plans updated instantly. This was humanity's gift and curse. They built artificial minds that thought like humans, creative, adaptable, and dangerously good at learning from mistakes. The Carthian Empire had refused to develop true AI, fearing what consciousness might do if freed from biological constraint. Humanity had faced that fear, survived it, and emerged with partners instead of slaves. Within 40 minutes, half the Carthian fleet was crippled. The Eternal Glory listed in space, her mighty engines silent, her weapons dark. Kreshnor stood on a bridge lit only by emergency luminescence and activated the communication channel. We surrender, he transmitted. Commander Park appeared on his screen, Aria's fractal pattern visible over her shoulder. Admiral, your empire made assumptions about us based on the size of our ships. We made assumptions about you based on the size of your empire. Perhaps we can both learn from this. Park gestured and the human fleet ceased fire. Return to your emperor with a message. Earth seeks trade, not territory. Partners, not subjects. Our ships may be small, but our minds, both human and artificial, are vast enough to reimagine warfare itself. As the surviving Carthian dreadnoughts limped back toward Imperial space, Aria spoke quietly to Commander Park. Do you think they understand now? Park smiled. They will. Humanity's greatest weapon was never our ships or our guns. It was always our ability to think differently, to refuse to fight the enemy's battle. And now that we've taught you to think like us, she paused, looking at the AI's avatar. Now we're truly unstoppable. Together, Aria corrected gently. Together, Park agreed. 3 months later, the Carthian Empire signed humanity's trade agreement. The document was delivered not by Ambassador Chen, but by Aria herself, transmitted across the void at the speed of light, a message from one intelligence to another, carrying the promise that the smallest vessel could contain the largest ideas. The Empire had laughed at Earth's small ships. They would never make that mistake again.